I was probably at the lowest point of my life last July in a place where, frankly, like I was killing myself silently, slowly. Music never was a burden for me. I make, 3 to 5 beats a day. And I was doing that when I was sick. You don't live to work, you work to live. He said the reason that he succeeded.
Yo, what's up? This is Toru, and in a way, so are you. I'm a music producer, entrepreneur, and host of this show, Producer Head. Welcome to episode 44 with Wino Willy, a prolific producer, artist, and community builder out of New Orleans. In this conversation, we talk about discipline, wellness, and the role of music in healing. From waking up at 3 a.m. to create, to redefining what it means to balance art, fatherhood, and purpose, this one's full of perspective. Enjoy my conversation with Wino Willy. Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Toru, and in a way, so are you. Welcome back to another episode of Producer Head. Very stoked to let you know that we have Wino Willy on the show.
Man, I'm blessed. I'm really excited to be here and discuss a long time coming. I appreciate you for having me out and letting me speak my piece.
Hey, man, happy to have you here to do it. So are you still waking up at 4 a.m.?
I technically wake up around 3, and then I'm at the gym by 4.
Why?
When I became a father, I used to be a night owl. I used to wake up. I used to, go until 3 o'clock and then go to sleep until whatever, 9 a.m. or something, 9 a.m. When I became a father, my babies would wake me up around this time, would wake me up around 3 o'clock in the morning. And I found the silence of starting my day there as opposed to ending my day there. It's almost like a complete cycle. I'm able to get so much done. I work with a lot of people internationally, and 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm able to talk with my friends in China. I'm able to talk with my friends in Japan and Australia and London, Paris, all these places. So I just found that getting up, and I've really done this in the past year. Last September 2024, marked, I think, the first year of me doing this. I still strive to go to bed. What is it, like 7, 8 o'clock at night? There's sometimes I do gigs late at night and I'll switch my calendar a little bit, but typically I can put my kids to bed and I go to sleep at the same time so I can wake up early, go to the gym, make beats, read, do whatever I need to do in the morning before everything's up, so that by the time 6, 7 o'clock is rolling around and my wife is getting ready, the kids are getting ready, I'm already done my personal time,
What made you decide to really carve out that personal time and use it for the gym?
Shoot, I'll say it. I, at my heaviest, was 410 pounds. I got depressed. I've dealt with depression kind of like most of my after my adolescence, around like 18 to 30, and in different periods. The pandemic was like, that was the big I would say for me, that was the moment of like, okay, I'm unmanageable, an unmanageable place for me. I never got to a point where I was, in a place where, frankly, like I was killing myself silently, slowly. And I don't have substance abuse issues, but food, if you look at it, could be seen as that. If you are eating yourself into a point of excess health, I was an athlete when I was younger. And I always like carried weight, so like people will hear that, are gonna hear that number and look at me and be like, some people might have saw it, and there's other people who might have been like, I didn't think he was that big, because I carry a lot of muscle on my body as well. So I looked up one day. It was right after I had my second child, and I just, I was probably at the lowest point of my life last July, and I just decided I want to make a change, and it started with. I got this wonderful therapist, Dr. Seema, down here, and she gave me this 6-step cultivation approach. 1 was spiritual, 2 was personal, 3 was fitness, and that doesn't just mean working out. 4 was community, 5 was family, and then 6 was like self-actualization, like Carl Maslow's hierarchy of needs sort of stuff. Music, like in these times of like low, never was a burden for me. Like I could create in these, and I feel like the music that I heard that people have coming out, I have stuff that came out since wellness has begun, and for me it's more poignant and still, Wino Willy was still like that. But also, I used to use music, I think, as a crutch of like, oh, this is gonna make me feel better. And you'll find like it can be part of something that makes you feel better. I create, and I love creating. I love making beats. I still make beats. I make 3 to 5 beats a day, and I was doing that when I was sick, making 3 to 5 beats a day. So that I realized that wasn't what was driving me forward. Like the sadness, or wasn't something that like just determined if I could create well, more so than just something that I needed to address for myself and then for my family second.
I feel like there are parallels between exercise and making music in terms of it can feel really hard to get started, and it can also be really hard feeling like you're not improving or you can't see the results of the work that you're putting in. And so I was wondering if you could speak to, because I feel like there are a lot of people really in music and in exercise and really just choose the area of interest who have trouble getting started or maybe have found themselves quitting.
I can speak themselves parallel in a parallel. I can speak to this on a parallel nature, right? Music. So a lot of my creative compatriots, students that I have, like one of the things that I think impresses people about me is my ability to see something to finish, right? I'm able, oh, Wino Willy's so prolific. He's able to get all these projects done with such and such and such. And, he puts out these beat tapes. And that's been kind of that way my entire life. The only way that I look at completion is that it takes small incremental steps gets you to where you go. Like you're not gonna jump. No, we aren't the Hulk. We're not gonna take one big jump and then jump to where we go. Like we have to take small steps. When I started on my fitness journey, the first thing that I did, and I tell my wife this, I tell anyone who asks me, the first thing that I did was the mental health, was addressing, of saying, okay, what can I do? And I started using this app, Insight Timer. This is not an ad for them, but because you can get it for free. They have a paid option. Do not just press the little X in the corner. It's paid, And I would use it to do I picked like a 3-minute meditation. I went as small as I could, 3 minutes. I started on that, and once I got that through one day, not a week, I did it for one day. And I was like, okay, let me try to do it again tomorrow. Let me try to do it until I get to my next therapy session. So that was like 3 days. Let me do that. Okay. Then once I got to the second one, and I was with the Musicians Clinic. I am currently with the Musicians Clinic of New Orleans. So when I'm mentioning these things, I paid $10 for my copay for my therapist. I paid $10. So this isn't some barrier to entry. I can't afford it. I found somebody that worked for me, and how many sessions I could see them, and went from there. And they gave me some tools, and then I did the work myself of let me do one little thing and change that. As far as my health, let me stop eating late night snacks. Let me stop going out when I'm up really late and at the end of the night going to get a sweet treat. Like let me just try to stop doing that. Or if I want to, let me have a sweet treat in my house first. Like let me not go out to go get the other thing. What do I have in my house? And if I don't have something in my house, I can't have it, right? So I started doing these little things, and then I looked up, the 4-month mark where I had dropped like 20 pounds or so. And I looked back and was like, oh, I did these things. I started walking, nothing insane. I'm not doing P90X. I'm not doing super duper. There's some people that dropped 200 pounds in a year because they did that, had bariatric surgery, all these other things. I knew for myself on my journey, what I wanted was something that I could do consistently that I'd be able to do for the rest of my life. I was just like being mindful about my fitness, being mindful about what I was putting into my body, because that's more important than the fitness. What you put into yourself. And as a musician, that's important too. What you put into yourself, what you tell yourself is what you're going to give out. If you're like, oh, I'm trash, you're going to be trash. You're going to be trash. You say, oh, I'm trash. Like the self-deprecating, like when I run into producers, I'm often doing my best to be like, don't say, oh, I'm okay. Like you're the best you can be at the moment you are at that moment. And you can be better. Yeah, you can be better. But at the moment, be happy with that you continue to go and create. So as a musician, what is something that you want to be better at? Like if you're a producer, for me, I know I was really insecure when I started playing with my group Lo-Fi Tribe. I felt like almost an imposter syndrome because I'm out here like I make my drums and I'm playing drums, but I'm not a professionally trained drummer. And one realization I had recently, I've been playing with them for almost 18 months at this point. Recently, like as of like 2 weeks ago, was that I'm looking to keep up or to hold them as opposed to they chose me to be there with them, and that I'm not doing this by myself. And we'll talk about community, but I'm not doing this by myself. So instead of me trying to do all of this, and I still practice, I'm still improving, but instead of trying to be this virtuosic percussionist, why don't I focus on being consistent in the pocket, providing something where I'm allowing the people that are around me to shine, and then going from that point to be better.
So what do you do? Like, let's say, like, you wake up in the morning and that alarm goes off and you're like, you don't feel like going to the gym. You don't feel like practicing. How do you address that inner voice that's kind of discouraging you from, like, you know what, I could just stay in bed a little longer, or I could go grab that treat, or I could skip today's practice on the drums or getting ready for this gig?
There's two answers for this. One, even if you make the mistake to do the thing that you said you didn't want to do anymore, it does not mean that you're a bad person. It means that you're human and that you deserve to have grace with yourself. If you decide, okay, yesterday I didn't do good on this, today do good. It's that simple. Today do good. Oh, I don't want, people, oh, it snowballs. You have the choice over that. You have the choice. What I do to get myself up, because I'm doing this thing 75 hard. Shout out to Alan Thomas in Atlanta. Oxygen, great dude. He challenged me a year ago to do this when I was like at my biggest. I was like, I could never do this. I could never do that because it's going to require me to be honest with myself and look and be consistent about these things. Like, what if I want to give up? And he said to me, like, he's done this multiple times and has only succeeded like one time. He said the reason that he succeeded, well, one, community, people around him who were doing it with him. We're on a text message thread. I text him every day. I'm gonna text them after we get off this call. Actually, let them know that I have to do my outdoor workout and I got to finish my water, but I'm halfway done with everything I need to do. I wake up every day and I'm doing the hardest physical thing I've done since training for, football and martial arts when I was younger. What I do every morning before I do anything else, before I'm looking at my phone, I get up and I try to say three things that I'm grateful for. If you're in your lowest, even if you're saying, I'm grateful for food, I'm grateful for music, like it doesn't have to be some grandiose idea. Like, just start yourself with a little bit of positivity. And then from there, look at how you feel, take a breath and look at how you feel and say, okay, I don't want to do it. Why don't I want to do it? What's my barrier to doing it? I'm tired. I had a gig yesterday. I don't want to do it. Okay, how can I reframe that? Maybe if I go to the gym and I'm going as slow as I can on the treadmill, as long as you get there and get started, then that is something to be proud of. Like, just getting through those doors, just getting through whatever task you want. Okay, I don't want to make drum loops. I don't want to work on my rudiments. I don't want to work on this. Okay, why don't you make a game out of it? Like, I don't want to do an hour today. Do 5 minutes. Do 10 minutes. Like, do something as opposed to just allowing yourself to be stagnant and not to confuse this with not taking rest. Rest is incredibly important, but rest is for you after you've done work. It's not, if you haven't done something, then why do you need to rest? So if you're treating your everyday like I'm doing what I can and then taking a break, like I'm a big believer in allowing yourself spaces so that you can get what you need done, and also scheduling in fun, scheduling in leisure. And for me, music is enjoyable, but it's also at times is labor as opposed to leisure. So I make sure that I'm doing something that's not related to music, that's not related to something that's gonna provide for me financially or whatever needs I have as a person. And I try my best to put in, whether it's reading, whether it's playing. Like I'm playing Yakuza right now on the Nintendo Switch, and I love that. I do what I can to find that balance.
Yeah, man, really cool. So it sounds like, honestly, like you have these feelings, right? We're using the example of music in the gym a lot here. And it's like, you notice that you have this like this sense of like, what's really known as resistance, right? Like, I don't feel like doing this. And instead of just like kind of accepting that feeling at face value, regardless of what that feeling happens to be, it sounds like there is like, you're really curious and there's like an internal dialogue and an investigation. Like, you ask yourself a question, like, why do I feel this way? And I'm curious about, is that something that you've kind of just like stumbled upon and just made sense to you and you figured out over time? Is
Oh,
somebody,
I can't even take claim credit. That's motivational interviewing.
hmm,
It's a therapeutic technique, and the person that was the biggest advocate in my life for that is my wife. I've been together with my wife for 15 years, and she provided space for me. Like, I was with her while she was undergrad doing psychology. I was in therapy. I was with her when she was getting her master's degree. So I was always helping her study, but in those studies, seeing things and being like, huh, this is something that I can use. Whether I used it until very recently is neither here nor there, but she was always someone to remind me, like, during this journey. Today is a great example. I did not want to go to the gym today. I was like, I'm tired. I did a 5K, my first time doing a 5K on Saturday. Then I flew to Chicago on Sunday. Then I came back on Monday. Then I woke up at 3 a.m. on Tuesday, and then went from 3 to 1 a.m. yesterday because I was doing a show last night. I need to sit inside and rest. And I woke up today. I got my kids to school. I came back. I took a nap, and then woke up and being like, oh, I don't want to do this. I called my wife and I said, hey, I need to hear you. What do I need to do? And one thing I will say is relying on somebody is good, but also relying on yourself is better. So we talked, but while we were talking, I was going and doing the action. She couldn't come and get me and make me do it. As a person, as individuals, we can't have, no one's going to drag you. No, I know that he's like a controversial figure now, but Kendrick Lamar said, I am not your savior. Like, I'm not going to save you because you have to save yourself. We have to save ourselves. Like, when I was at my biggest, like, my wife was telling me for years to go to the doctor. For years. So with scheduled appointments for me, I have to go. As a musician, like, you want to be better. You want to get in those spaces. You want to, whatever the goal is, you want to get placements. You want to build a scene. You have to do it. Can't be anybody else. You can go pay whatever you want to go pay to go be in the group and, put all of your money. But until you decide as an individual that you want a change, then things will stay the same. There's no secret. There's no piece of advice that you can hear from anyone that's going to change it. The only thing that can help you is, I would say, the biggest thing that helped me is community, and then having the patience with myself to make small changes and until it, opened up for me to become easier.
Yeah, man, that little anecdote, sharing that like hitting up your wife for a little bit of motivation is a really cool way to just display like nobody does it alone, and also nobody can do it for you. So I'm curious about how you think about goals, whether in whatever context, and how you set them, or what your goals are.
Goals are interesting, right? Like, for me as a person, I would say I was goal adverse for a long time, because goals can be accountability, right? If I say I'm going to do something and then I don't do it and I look at it, I can lead to disappointment. And I think a lot in our generation view that as just another way to be knocked down and not validated, as opposed to, like, in the grind time, let's get this paper, let's get this bread mindset, that we view goals under this guise of like another silent master of sorts. For me, recently, similar to the conversation about what I'm looking to accomplish, I try to set benchmarks, right? Like, I want to be able to do something. How do I get to those things, right? Like, I want to play out more. Okay, what is the barrier for me playing out? If I'm in a city where there's no beat scene, there's extreme, and I'm going to share a story from Easy Webb out of, he lives in Chicago now, he's from St. Louis originally. He used to drive back and forth from St. Louis to play in the Chicago beat scene with B4 Lasers. Like, every time they had a show, he would drive 3 hours up, 3 hours back, which is insane dedication, because he wanted to And that inspired me so much. I'm so grateful. I want to shout out the Living Listening Party in Chicago. I was there this past weekend, and I was so inspired by the beat scene they had, the community they had there. I got off the plane. I told them I took a nap in the corner just to make it happen. But when I heard the story about Easy Web going back and forth, and this is told before he even got on stage, that he would come back and forth regardless of rain and shine. That dedication inspired me, and I think he did that with just the goal of like, I want to play out more. For me, I look at what I want to accomplish. Like, I know something that I want is to build in New Orleans a something similar to Beat Cinema in LA, something similar to Controllerize in Atlanta, something similar to Donut Lounge in New York. I want something where producers from around the country can come to New Orleans and to play. And I've done something similar before, which neither here nor there, was the first iteration of this happening. For that goal to transpire, the first thing is looking at the need, then looking at what items have to be completed to get to that point. I want a show. For a show, you need a venue, you need performers, you need whatever, right? You may need funding, you may not need funding. If you throw a show at your house, then all you need is to have speakers and do these things, and money is the easiest part of the equation. Just figure, how do we go get speakers, right? But that being said, for me, I try to utilize a method of not setting little incremental benchmarks of, okay, I would like to have this done by this. And then if something was a barrier for me getting it done, we're assessing what that barrier is, but not giving up on that, continuing to progress towards the benchmark until I hit it, and then hit the next benchmark.
That's interesting, man. And I feel like there's a lot that supports that kind of idea, in terms of like psychology, like to like make more proximal goals, like things that are closer to you that you can actually see the progress towards, instead of just being like, instead of something so big that you can't possibly do it in a day. And it more often than not leads to getting discouraged or giving up even.
No, that's a great point. I feel that when we make goals as a society, that we're asking for things that, like, when you're like, oh, give me your 5, 10, 15-year plan. The most important goal that someone should ask you is what's the next 30 days? What's the next week look like? 5, 10 years is great, but what is the first? Because once you can get past doing a week, once you can get past doing a month, once you can get past doing a year, then you can look and say, okay, what would I like down the line? Because you have no say, at least in what are the unknown variables that are going to pop up, that are going to happen. Like, oh, I want to go do this thing, but then you have, like, for example, we can discuss this. If I have a goal that I want to be this, and then I have kids, and that changes my financial status, that changes my time, how am I going to fit in my goals with that? Maybe it delays your goals, or maybe it pivots your goals a little bit, but that doesn't mean that you have to stop. I want to implore this to any fathers, any parents who are musicians, who are like, oh, I had kids and it killed my career. No, you decided to stop. Again, I'm very focused on radical responsibility with things like that, and I don't mean this in some conservative, like, finger wagging. If you want something to happen, regardless of the circumstances, you can make it happen. You just got to look and figure out, reframe the problem or the barriers, and figure that out. Okay, I used to have excess free time to make beats. Okay, so I could make them in the middle of the day, I could make them in the middle of the night, I could come back from work, and now I know that I have two other people besides my wife that want my attention. How am I fulfilling the needs for them and still fulfilling that need for myself? Okay, I have to get up early to do it. I have to reschedule myself to make time for it. I have to negotiate that time. It's just time management, which, if you're a single person, I would say you don't always have to think about it like that. You just, oh, well, you can be more nebulous. I would say the biggest advice that I had from my parents, who are successful producers, is to, one, understand that no, you're not going to get to make 10 beats in a day. anymore. And you can mourn that. But was 10 beats in a day as productive as you thought it was? Your best bet is to, when you're doing something, to be invested in it as you possibly can be, and appreciative of the time that you're getting. So instead of making 10 beats that are like, oh, these are okay, making two that are great, because I had to be patient for the time to have that and be grateful for the time. And I find myself now, when like I sit down and I craft, I feel like I'm, since I've been a parent, every Wino Willy project that you've heard that you think this is crazy, I made with a baby in my arms. Every single one. Daniel's son, baby in my arms, right? Like Farrah's Blusa, baby in my arms. Like the ones that are like out here going crazy, where I did those in either like in some of my lowest points, which also at my highest. Like, me becoming a parent has been such a beautiful thing for me, because it's required me to leave. Am I allowed to use profanity?
To be you.
It allows me to leave bullshit behind. I don't have time to sulk. I don't have time to wait, because it's time that I could be using for myself or my kids.
Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying this episode, take a second and hit that subscribe button. Remember, Producer Head grows thanks to listeners and supporters like you. So if something here resonates, take a second to let us know by following, liking, subscribing. Your support means everything. By subscribing and sharing, you help us grow the Producer Head community, which allows us to continue bringing you incredible conversations just like this one, and opens the door to even more exciting guests in the future. Let's keep building this together. All right, back to the episode. What I really love about what you're saying is something that I talk about a lot in like personal conversations with people that don't even make music, right? Like they have other interests or other things they're trying to do. And this idea of like all or nothing. And I think that when big events happen in your life, maybe it's marriage, maybe it's kids, maybe it's a new job, etc., people get to this place where they're like, well, I can't do it exactly on the terms that I originally set out to do it because of this new like obligation or this new set of circumstances. So I'm just going to drop it completely, instead of just what I feel like you're describing, which is to just adjust and adapt to the context in which you now exist and work a little differently, right? Maybe you don't, like you said, maybe you don't make 10 beats a day. It doesn't mean you have to make 0 beats in a day.
Exactly. That's so salient. But I think a lot of discourse and reality is being told it has to be that way. We're told that our passions are not, either have to be monetized. And this is, I'm gonna rail against this. The idea that everything has to be a hustle, everything has to be something that pursues to like that progresses towards some financial end is so disgusting. It's not. No, that's not reality. There's things that are going to be there for you, and you don't live to work. You work to live. As a musician, as someone who creates, like there's some of us who are listening who this is what you want to do, and this is how you want to pay your mortgage, is how you want to make your living. I would implore you to really look at that and decide if that's how you want to make your money. If you want it just to be from beat sales, the happiest that I've been making music, and the most opportunity that I've had is treating music in my life how it should be treated, as a sacred thing. When I create, I believe with my whole heart that it is me at my most divine. I cannot give life. I cannot bring life forth like a woman, but I can touch these pads and make beats and create. So for me to look at it as something that should be exploited as such, I'm not saying that I don't charge for music. I'm not saying that I don't make money from music. What I'm saying is that in my life, I'm trying to find other opportunities to handle my financial obligations. And then if my music handles some of them, fantastic. But I take that into consideration with my day of how am I getting to where I'm going, and how can I, frankly, handle my household obligations. Like when we first got on, I was running my errands and handling my stuff. Part of it is having someone, doing this by yourself is incredibly hard. But when I was by myself and doing this alone, it was just figuring out what I need, what I don't need. And as a man, it's the same thing. What do I need? What do I not need? How can I provide? And finding those synergies in my schedule.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about all these different things that you balance in your life. And just having kids and you're like, I don't make 10 beats a day anymore. I'm like, dude, you are absurdly productive in terms of like, you put out more, like, I mean, you blow whatever the average release cadence is like out of the water. So I'm curious about, how do you remain productive? Like, how are you constantly producing music? Because that's the thing, is like, I'm assuming, generally speaking, that you're not releasing everything that you make. So if you're releasing several projects in a year, I can only imagine how many beats are on your hard drive.
um, God forbid that they don't crash. We'll knock on wood, because
Please start backing those up. Are you kidding me?
yeah, I have the one, and then I had another hard drive that went missing. It's been a hard year for me. Top of January, I had like a catastrophic MPC crash. I don't want to get into it; it make me too emotional. But frankly, like I said, every day I'm trying to make, like, there's some days where I get to make 5, 6 things, right? And it's that time in the morning after I work out, like when I have like in this 7 day 75-day period, I'm probably not going to be creating as much because I'm focusing on adding a next extra workout, which would have been for music time. But I still, in this moment, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do little thing here and there. It's realizing that sometimes, like, I'm very organized in how I create. So when I make a beat, I make these folders. I do not make batch work. Like, and what I mean by that is, here's a big batch of what I made on Monday, send it to a bunch of people. When I started creating albums with people that are non-instrumental, I first, and a lot of, I guess this is like the little juicy morsel for the producers. How does Wino Willy get a project done? How am I in a place? The first thing that helped me out was I made my own wave. I went and was like, I'm gonna make my beat. I'm gonna put my beats out here. And shout out to Conductor Williams. Conductor Williams was actually really integral in that for me, where I saw him. This was 2018, 2017, when he was on Instagram with his green screen and his he had the SP 505, I believe, or 606, one of those machines. And similar to what I'm doing now, he would use these green screens. And when he started doing that, he was already working on projects with his local scene. And he utilized that first. That was the first thing he did, was the local scene. And then started doing these beats, was consistent with that. One video a day, just one. That's the same thing I do. I'm not out here like, you see the people on TikTok, here's the same thing 17 times. I just do one. I get up, I have like my GoPro, I set that up, I do like a little bit of editing, I'll post it, right? And now that I do releases, people are like, and you can collaborate. People will post on, and tag me in it. So I still look like I'm doing all these things, but I'm not actually. I'm doing one thing. I'm doing one thing. Sometimes it's 3 times a week. Just finding like a schedule for yourself. The first thing you do is make your own wave. So what can I do that's going to differentiate myself in my city? Don't worry about national. You want to work with Westside Gun? Don't worry about. If you want to work with these names, right? Start at your local level and make that happen. Most people, if you want to work with them, figure out what it takes. Half of these people, it's money. That's it. Okay, you want such and such rapper on your project? Email them and see what their budget is. Especially in our scene, in underground rap, email them and see what their budget is. It could be 250. And they'll do a song. It could be 300 and they can do a song. Do that a couple of times. You build that relationship. And if your beats are really dope, and they'll look at it and be like, oh, this person's production is really good. Maybe I'm not going to charge them, and we'll work on a project. Okay. For me, when it comes to these projects, and I'm not saying that's how my projects work. Just giving a heads up. It's not how my projects typically work. I've been fortunate where I made my own wave in my own lane, and I had people that were willing to take a chance with me, and then those projects did really well. And then because of that case, then other people are coming and saying, I saw the work you did with X, Y, and Z, so I want that work. And I'm able to be consistent in how I'm positioning myself and pushing forward, and in my talent and in my gifts, able to really shape something. I've been fortunate with my gifts and my skills that when I am able to shape something with someone, I'm able to take such meticulous care and then given the opportunity to present it in a platform that allows for it to kind of be like this resounding sounding board. The second thing that I would say is the most important thing outside of that is that I try to do my best to reach out to the communities that support me and go to the people. So Chicago is one of the most listened places that I've been. Okay, I got to go fly to Chicago and go play the local beat show just so I can shake people's hands and say thank you for supporting me. And those things are not, again, we're talking if the barrier of entry is money typically. So how much does it cost for you to go take that trip? Mm-hmm. Is it, instead of doing something else, save towards that and go do it, go play the thing. If you're in a city where maybe you have to go 90 minutes, maybe you're young enough where you can go pack your car up and you can go drive to these different places. A lot of places take the punk DIY aesthetic, where punk bands are one of my favorites, and they'll just pack the car up with the band and go on their tour to these different cities and different places and just find who has the local show and then go play. And that's how they start making that footprint. And I just took that ethos of I'm going to go to these different spaces and show myself, and then that also helps me to, one, be well mentally and by interfacing with community, because these are other people who are like-minded like myself, who are doing something that they love. It helps me to feel well. So that goes right back into what we were talking about wellness, being in community. Let's talk about community, man.
I'm curious about how you define it for yourself, because I know that you're somebody who's involved in communities of different types and in different ways.
Community is a group of individuals who have a common interest or goal that come together to support one another. In New Orleans, in Philly, in China, wherever I went, the first thing that I would look for is hip hop. What's the scene? What does that look like? Whether it's the mainstream, underground, what is it? Because when I was a kid, that music is what was the soundtrack to my life. So when I went, long story shorter, I went to high school and college in Beijing and Shanghai, respectively. And the way that I learned Chinese was getting involved in the hip hop scene, right? I was fortunate where these folks were, and there was an earnestness and hunger. Everywhere I go, where it's small, where they have to build it, there's an earnestness and a joy that you want to interface with people. And that helped me to become who I am. In New Orleans, the music is 300 years old. Music has been played in New Orleans for years, centuries. When it comes to electronic music, when it comes to the beat scene, there have been different iterations of beats, groups. So you had Beats by the Pound, SLV, and these different crews. And then as far as having events similar to like I mentioned, Controllerized, Don't Allow, whatever else you want to call them, Project Blowed in LA from back in the day, Good Life Cafe, whatever. You are having people who want to bring together these different parties so that they can create together and then build something. Whether they're going to go out and do whatever is neither here nor there. The most important thing is bringing together individuals for enjoyment, frankly, and wellness. My favorite group that I'm a part of now is I'm in this Black Fathers group called Dad Crew in New Orleans, run by a friend of mine. It's just young fathers, old fathers, grandfathers getting together, taking the kids to go do stuff. But that allows for me to spend time with my seeds, and then also feel a connection. When it comes to what I'm doing with Loud and Clear in New Orleans, it's my way of getting connected with the elders in the scene, myself, my peers, but then also we do an open aux. I love seeing that. That's one thing that I would say. Anyone who's looking to do something, do some sort of open mic where people can just come and bring their work. If you do it, I love that drums in sidechain. It's like, oh, come here and play your beats. Like it doesn't have to be in person. If your community is so spread out, go online. We use the internet for anything else. Go online and go find that community, man. Go find the like-minded people, because you have people that are are all over the world that you've never met yet, who may be your best friend. They might be that person that has the other piece you're looking for or the tools you're looking for. And beyond that, though, when you go in the community, don't always ask what the community can do for you. What can you do for that space? And sometimes what you can do for that space is just being present.
So what do you have to say to somebody who is like, I'm not ready yet, or I don't feel like I have anything to offer?
Oh, what I tell people, because people come in all the time and are like, these typically are the people who end up being great. They're like really shy about what they want to share, or they don't feel they're valid. Is that if you came because you love what's going on, and somewhere inside of you is telling you to be here. That invitation, no one in most spaces, no one's looking to ridicule you. No one's looking to, because everyone started from a space. No one, there's no person that you've heard a prodigy, a prodigy started their first note on the piano was not in key, right? It doesn't matter. I don't care who it is. Whoever you see that you think is the best producer, the best musician, the best athlete, they were not fire the first thing that they did. Learning in community and workshopping in community spaces is for me how I got better. If you want to know how I improved, it's going and being in spaces with OGs and with people who were already where I was trying to go. And whenever I'm talking with people who I'm looking at 20 years my elder, we're like, oh, why don't Willie? I'm like, I've been watching you since I was however young, and you've been great. And I was asking them, and there has been a change in how people gatekeep information, how people don't gatekeep information, how these people who are in these spots are not looking to try to just keep you out. They want to learn from you. They want to share with you. They want to nurture you because they realize they're what they need to do,
Because, the immediacy and the accessibility of being able to do stuff online it just really, I think, can make it be like, well, why would I go somewhere in person? Especially if it's farther away from where I live. Can you speak to because I know too recently you've been bouncing around a bit. So can you speak to the value of like making that time to meet people face to face and shaking hands, like you said?
Being in the actual cipher, I'm going to use some terminology. Being an actual cipher with people is so important vibrationally. Like you can't feel that through a computer screen. And it's okay. I would say this: if you're in the middle of nowhere and it's really hard for you to get there, cool. Use that tool to build that. But go outside and go build it. Go in your town. There's somebody else that you don't know. You won't know if they're there unless you go out and build it. You won't know if they're there. You have no clue. You have no clue that there's somebody who's down the street who loves what you do. Back before, people used to put up flyers and whatever the place was. Oh, I'm going to the record store. I'm going to put it up because I know that if somebody's in the record store and they see it, maybe they'll come. For me, I'm of the age of Facebook. Facebook groups, huge. When I moved somewhere, I just go on, look at the city, type in the city, and go type in NPC Ableton SP404. Like, and that often made me find people who were like minded, or I was able to send a message to someone who has the event already. So traveling and taking the time to go to these different spots is one, seeing something that's not your own space and seeing how they're doing it is incredibly inspiring. Like seeing what is pushing people forward in certain cities and certain communities has been so inspiring to me. Like New York is not like Chicago, is not like Atlanta, is not like New Orleans, is not like LA. Like regardless of what we're saying, you go online and people are sharing sounds. And what I'm finding in the producer community is that people in their specific scenes know what's gonna make the room go crazy where they are. And it's one of the last little bastions of space where people are trying to find that uniqueness. I find of creating something that's going to work for their space.
Right on, man. So one more question, and then I will drop into these to the quicker rapid fire questions that I have for you. But I did want to ask you, because you mentioned this philosophy that you have around simplicity and depth, and I just love even the way that sounds. So can you speak a little bit about simplicity and depth?
So When I hear those words, it is an ethos in my overall life. How am I able to convey the most complex thing that I can in the simplest way? If I'm producing, how can I express myself with the notes that aren't played? And that's a jazz philosophy of utilizing space, utilizing the blank spaces in canvas and in ourselves. It sounds really abstract when I say it like this, but the best way to look at it in your life is how can I, if we can go backwards to talking about goals, how can I complete something with the least amount of moves? And that's mastery. Is how can I complete something with the least amount of moves? In my production, is it creating a preset? In my time, is it finding a way to automate something that makes it so that I can focus on another task? If it's going to the gym, is it how am I able to be like how am I able to I want more time to do something else, so I need to get faster. My fitness level needs to increase so that instead of me spending 30 minutes on the treadmill, I'm spending 15 minutes on the treadmill to get the same distance. You see? So when I'm thinking about depth, what I'm getting at is a nebulous feeling of expansiveness in our human experience. How far back can I go? How wide can I go? Like what in the third dimension of us being people, like how am I able to convey those emotions? My biggest hurdle to that is personal ego, right? Like when I want to show how smart I am or how dope I am, I'm trying to do as much as I can, like the maximalist style. Look what I can do, as opposed to painting with colors that allow me to get the same emotion across. And I used to, as a producer, do my best to show all these techniques. And then I realized that it was, instead of trying to make the best thing that I could, I'm just trying to show off. And there's time for that. There's time for that. As far as showmanship, there's time for that. But when you're creating, for me at least, when you're creating with other people, when you're collaborating, the best collaboration that you can do is having space for the collaborators.
That's beautiful, man. So where can we send people, man, to follow along with what you're doing?
You can find me if you're in New Orleans. I'm every single Wednesday. I'm at the Virgin with Lo-Fi Tribe, 5 to 7 p.m. I'm actually going there after this for sound check. If you want to keep up with me online, I'm Wino Willy on every single platform. TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, Apple, Bandcamp, Vinyl, whatever you look, WINO WILLY. I have a Patreon where I kind of go behind the scenes. A goal of mine that was delayed, that I was working on some classes, but I need to upgrade. I would like to upgrade some equipment so that I can provide a more consistent service.
Man, very cool. So everybody, you heard it here. Go follow this man. Check out his Patreon. If you're in New Orleans, go to the Wednesday night shows and follow him on Instagram, etc. With that, man, which DAW do you use?
Ableton is my DAW. Weapons of choice are MPC, SP404, and really a bunch of different synths and things. But really, Ableton. If I had the desert island, is Ableton, SP404, MK2, MPC Live. If I had, I have a one now, but MPC Live.
3 favorite albums.
Let's go Baduism, Erykah Badu. Let's go Midnight Marauders, A Tribe Called Quest. And then let's go Blue Train, John Coltrane. Oh, no. Space is the Place, Sun Ra. Sorry. Space is the Place, Sun Ra.
Wow. Best music-related purchase you've ever made?
Best music-related purchase I've ever made. My first SP404.
Something you bought and never used?
MPC 500.
One habit that gets in the way of your music?
One habit that gets in the way of my music. Being a dutiful husband.
Oh, making sure that your wife is within earshot to hear that too. I love it. Yeah. Something you wish more people understood about music and or production.
That when you're learning how to make beats, doing something like a tight beat is actually a good way to learn how to make a beat. It's not no, maybe you shouldn't sell your J Dilla type beat, but if you are able to construct certain techniques, you can bring that into your own production to help you to become a better producer.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie, Warriors. The Warriors.
Best advice that you've ever received?
The best advice I ever received was from my father. Do your best that you can do, and that's all that you can do, and be proud of your results.
What character from a book, movie, show do you most identify with?
I always liked it's not a fictional character, Richard Wright in the book Black Boy. I always felt like he was able to describe his surroundings well, and had a curiousness about him that led him to thirst for knowledge, and I identify with his work.
Question left for you from the previous guest: the last movie in the theater that you almost walked out on.
Last movie that I almost walked out on. Did I walk out on it, or like I was like,
I guess it could be either one, but as the question is phrased, almost.
12 Years a Slave.
Man, we made it to the end. Is there anything else that you want to share with the people before we jump out of here?
I'm going to be in Philadelphia. I don't know when this is going to come out, so this may have already happened. I'm going to be performing with Billy Woods and Gabe Nandez and FODH Matthew. I know this will be out before this. In October 25th, I will be in London with a show that's going to be announced soon, Wino, Willy, and Friends, at the Hip Hop Chip Shop. We're going to have vendors, local producers, and myself, FODH Matthew, Wishmaster, Pharma G, Matt Hunter, DJ Matt Hunter, and some other wonderful guests.
That's what's up, man.
I'm really excited about that.
If you're in Philly or in London, just check this man out.
And let me not forget, October 21st, I'm playing a show in Paris. Can't pronounce the venue name. On October 23rd, I'm playing a show in Marseille in France. I cannot pronounce the venue name.
That's what's up, and that's awesome.
Open. Keep your eyes open for that, and I'll be there.
And also, man, real quick, did you want to shout out any of the OK Player stuff? I saw that drop, and that was super cool.
Well, first and foremost, shout out to Cavalier, because he was the one who made that happen for me and took the time to really take care. I'm really proud of that piece. It encapsulated who I am as a person really well, and also fatherhood and everything else I have. So I'm extremely proud of that. I have a great interview. This interview I'm really excited about. And I also have an interview with Mike 5 from WTUL that I think you can find in the Backwoods Studios newsletter. So I'm really happy about how that came to be. So I'm really grateful to all the opportunities that have been afforded to me this year.
That's what's up, man. Well deserved, and wishing you continued success, man.
Thank you so much, man. This is a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, man. No, thank you so much, man. Everybody, there's so much in this conversation. We're going to have to bring you back because there's so much we didn't get to. You're just so optimistic and adaptable, and so deeply thoughtful and caring of other people and of music. So just thank you so much for being here, for sharing this with us. Everybody, this concludes another episode of Producer Head. This has been Toru, and in a way, so are you. Peace. Big thank you to Wino Willy for joining us and being so open about his process and his journey, from the 4 a.m. workouts to the late night beat sessions with a baby in arms. This conversation is a reminder that growth comes from small, consistent steps. If you enjoyed this one, check out our past episodes with Freddie Joachim or Chris Mazuera for more on weaving artistry and life. From Producer Head, this has been Toru, and in a way, so are you. Peace. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave a rating and review wherever you're listening. This helps Producer Head find its place and its people. Without you, there is no Producer Head. Thanks again for tuning into Producer Head. Subscribe and join our community over at producerhead.substack.com so you never miss an episode. Substack subscribers receive exclusive access to the bi-weekly podium, curation of my favorite discoveries on and offline over the past week. You'll also get access to Producer Head Bars, where I share the best of what's been shared with me to help you and other producers in our community grow. The podium and Producer Head Bars are designed to provide immediate inspiration and direct application in your creative process. So, subscribe at producerhead.substack.com to receive real inspiration and ideas you can use to elevate your own process today. If you care for the craft, get your exclusive access at producerhead.substack.com. This episode was co-produced, engineered, and edited by Matthew Diaz. Big thank you to him. From Producer Head, this is Toru, and in a way, so are you. Peace.